Okay, today we are going to discuss, let's say, the study abroad, what it takes, the challenges, how to turn these challenges into opportunities with the real experience with Manindra. Manindra, could you please introduce yourself? What happened abroad and what's your business?
Yes, of course. So, as you all now know me, that my name's Manindra, and yeah, but I go with the name Jasmine, and that's basically my business also. I'm basically a dental assistant, but right now I'm just doing this crystal healing, the Reiki healing, and yeah, those things, kind of healing people with crystals, giving them a lot of advice on how crystals can help them, how we can energize them and purify them, meditate with them, and how we can do all that with the universal vibrations and everything. So that is the kind of business that we have.
So my first question is, why would people
Yeah.
want to study at a foreign university?
The people mainly are, we are very driven by this thing that, if we go to a foreign university, we have a certain name in our resume or in our CV, and then, a lot of more job opportunities come your way. A lot of people want you to, yeah, many people want to work with you. Many people, a lot of the major the businesses, like we can say Google, Amazon, if you have done some kind of business or marketing skills, they want to work with you, and they don't see your skills that time. They only see the name of the university that you've worked with. So we today's youth is actually very driven by that thing. If we study from a foreign university, we have that name in our resume, in our CV. So that is the major aspect, I think. For
So is it worth
students.
the money?
I would suggest, I think, it's actually worth the money. For me personally, if you're career driven, it's worth the money. But if you just want to go to a foreign university, and if you're thinking of just going and settling there, then it's a whole different aspect. But yeah, if it's about exposure, if it's about more job opportunities, more experience in your particular field, then it's worth the money.
What about your future career? Where would you like to specialize?
Um, Personally, you're asking me or just in general?
That's for you.
That's for me, okay. So personally, if I would go for some kind of a specialization, I would go to UK. I would study in some university in England. I would try those kind of universities. Like I'm very fond of Cardiff University at the moment. I'm very fond of Oxford universities, and yeah. So I would personally try and do the masters or try and do some psychic therapies there, because then it's going to give me more scope for my business.
Okay, let's relate
Yeah.
the 2 points together. Like first you studied in
Mhm.
Canada, now you want to study in the UK. How would
Yes.
that affect your career?
That will, I think it would not affect my career because I studied in Canada, yes. But then I did some kind of practicum. I had a lot of experience with a lot of doctors, and the renowned doctors that I had the experience with. But then now, if I go to UK and do some kind of masters in dental or maybe in some other field, because when I entered this dental line, I realized, dental is not just this dentist and, working in the mouth. It's more of other things as well. It's more of a healing thing. It's more of a psychic therapy also you need during that time. So if I take all those aspects together, then I think it won't affect my career. It is going to help me grow more. It is going to help me to have more experience in my field.
So the question here, how would you compare studying abroad to studying in your national universities?
Okay. So if I would have studied here, definitely there are certain places where we have scope for different things. Like if you want to do some kind of photography or some kind of designing thing, then there's a scope for you to go to London and United Kingdom, that side, right? So if you talk about India, then I don't think there's a lot of scope for dental in India. So there are different places where you have many scope. Um, so in abroad, I would say there is more scope of dental. It depends upon your career. It depends upon what you're choosing. Even for crystal healing, I would say there's more scope in the US, in the California side, or in the United Kingdom side. So it
So,
depends upon the career, basically.
so in somehow it makes you more employable.
Yes, because it gives me more opportunities to work with more renowned people in the world.
Okay, let's say not many people can afford traveling abroad and doing
Yeah,
their studies or higher studies abroad.
of
Like,
course.
would you mainly recommend it, and what do you recommend for other people who cannot?
I would say you need to look at the finances first. Definitely, the one major aspect where we all come together is like wealth, how much we can spend on the studies and how much we can spend on our living, because it's not like if you go to a foreign country, you get the job right away, right? So if you cannot afford more finances, if you don't have more finances, so then there are other opportunities too for you to grow. If you are in your own country, you got to find out certain provinces, certain cities, or certain. There are a lot of competitive exams that you can go for. If you are not, or if you cannot afford that, then there are a lot of chances that you can study well and go for the competitive exams and join some of the government universities that can actually give you the scholarship and help you to study abroad eventually.
So
Because
my
there are a lot of
question,
universities that,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah, go ahead, Maninder.
Yeah, so there are a lot of universities that are actually, tied up. They have a tie-up with other universities in the foreign countries. So you can go for that too. And if it's just national based, like if you just want to study in your own country, then also there's absolutely no problem. But then you gotta study. I mean, it's all about studying where you can study the best, where you can show your skills the best way.
Yeah, my question here, like when like relocating to a foreign country, like are there
Mhm.
many challenges or main things to take into consideration?
There are challenges, for sure. There are challenges because the very first challenge you'll come across is the language, right? So you don't know their language. You gotta learn. Of course, English is one thing that we all need to excel in these days, because if we need to communicate with anybody around. So language is one thing. Then you gotta settle in that country. You don't know their temperature. You don't know what you don't know how the people there are going to be, how much friendly they will be, because in some countries people are not that much friendly, but in other countries they're like good. Like in Canada, I would say, yeah, people are very friendly with you. They tell you if you ask them something. You don't know the ways, you don't know where your university is, you don't know anything about that country. So those are some of the major challenges that you'll face right when you step into the country. Also immigration rules, new rules about jobs, and because it's not like your home country that you can do any kind of a job. You are an international, so you have to make sure you are following all the regulations there. Otherwise, they're just going to knock at your door.
Okay.
Yeah.
So my question here, like, is it easy to go to these top-notch universities like Oxford, Cambridge, and so on?
If you're career driven and if you don't have a lot of marks, I would say from my personal experience, yes, it is easy to go to these universities if you apply for them, if you show them that you are actually, you have that hunger, you have that drive, that you have to study there. These universities, they want one thing, that they want to see how much how much you can get involved in that particular thing. These universities mainly have like the interview sessions too, in which most of the students are like, how I'm going to go for the interview. So that is the major thing for these universities. If you can go through that interview, if you can convince them. So I would suggest, if you're applying to any of these universities, take 1 year for yourself, and prepare for it. If you don't have marks, it's okay. You need to have some volunteering experience. You need to have some practicum experience. uh, make some portfolios of yourself. Have a good resume that you can actually present in front of them. Marks is not the only thing for these universities. They need to see the drive in you. So when you're interacting with them, you should be knowing, like, if you're going to a certain course, you should know which professors would be teaching you, because in these universities, we know the professors, we know the names of those professors, because they've done like immense studies that have been globalized, and so you can talk a lot about them. You
My
can
question.
convince them.
Yeah, go ahead, Manindra.
Yeah.
Okay,
You can convince them. Yeah.
so my question here, when like people look at the scholarships, what do you advise? How can they search them, or what should they look for in them?
For the scholarships.
Hmm.
So there are many scholarships that the universities offer. One-time scholarship is mainly for everybody, that if you're entering right now into the university, they'll at least give you that one-time scholarship for sure. That would be for each of these renowned universities that I'm talking about. And second scholarship would be if you just get involved with these universities, like if you stay in touch with their on-campus advisories, if you stay in touch with their international team members and other people around. So you actually have a lot of scope to know the insights of the university. There are many other scholarships that most people won't even know about. Like if you're participating in a certain seminar, then definitely you get some kind of scholarships for that. The universities have. If you choose a certain course, like their own native language course or something, so there's scholarship for that. But these are some insights that you will only get to know if you stay in touch, if you stay on campus, if you stay in touch with those universities,
Okay, so
with their own team members.
like, how does like getting a job or doing some work beside the study work out? Is it easy? Is it difficult? How to manage?
If you're working part time, or obviously if you're an international, you will only be allowed to work part time. So it will be difficult for you a little bit to to make a balance between your studies, because even after the even after you study, even after your class, you will have a lot of work to do, you'll have a lot of assignments. So then there's very less time left for your job, so the only time that you can work is during the weekends. And everybody then, every international student wants to work during the weekends, so then there's less opportunity for jobs. So that's one thing that we should be very um, thoughtful about, and that's one thing we should keep in our mind, that we cover the cost for our living, we cover the cost for our meals. But there's another thing that we can do. We can live on campus, we can do jobs on campus. So there are a lot of jobs, and they you get paid well on campus rather than off campus, because then off campus would be just a regular pay. But on campus, if you do, there's a lot of exposure that you can get.
So my question here is so like related to this question exactly, how to manage the money, the finances.
How to manage the finances that you already have. Okay, so that is the major question that people come across. It is self control, the very basic thing, because first of all, for international students, I would say, do not go and buy a vehicle. That people mainly just go and do this first thing. Till the time you're studying, obviously you don't need a vehicle for that time. You can just stay away from vehicles and everything, and do not plan a lot of trips with your friends on the weekends, that you have to go on these certain beach or wherever it is. And another important thing is gadgets. Yeah, because gadgets is something you can get from your home country, and then you can just take it with you, right? And you'll get it at a reasonable price. But if you go in a different country and then you just want to buying the gadgets all over the place, so then it's going to be very expensive. So we should stay away from all these things firstly, and then we have to manage the money. Because we have to save for our meals, we have to save for our courses as well. So yeah, self-control is the key here.
What else would you like to say to like foreign hopeful?
Sorry, your voice just got cut off.
What else would you like to say to those who want to study abroad?
Okay. So for those that are going to study abroad, the very first thing, just think about why you want to go there. Is it for exposure? Is it for job opportunities? Or is it just that you want to settle? So these are the three main things that will balance out the whole thing, that which country you should be choosing. Because if you know what kind of study you're doing, then find out the best country that can give you the exposure, that can give you the job opportunities, the best job opportunities that you're looking for. Not every country, if you go and do photography in every country, not every country is gonna accept that and you'll earn enough. So just be very mindful of that thing, and yeah, just try. If you're going to a foreign university, and that to a very renowned university like these Cardiff, these Oxford universities and all, just stay on campus and try to be a part of these universities. Like you cannot be like, you cannot just stay out of all the, you cannot just stay out of, um, you have to be a part of them. Like you have to be a part of each and every seminar, you have to be a part of each and every game. So you get to know, you have to stand out from the crowd. Then only you can get the scholarship. Then only it'll be easier for you to continue in those universities.
Okay, from a trainer's point of view, like how much time did you give to studying English?
To studying English, okay. For me, it was not that difficult, but yeah, I've seen people for whom it's difficult. So I would suggest the timing should be like 3 to 6 months for, if you are learning from scratch and if you're learning all the vocabulary and everything. Personally, for me, it wasn't that difficult because I've already studied um, from a convent school and stuff. So it wasn't that difficult for me. But yeah, 3 to 6 months is a time period that you should give before you go for any examinations, any IELTS or anything.
It has been amazing talking to you, Manindra, today and getting these great insights about studying abroad. Thank you so much for that.
Yeah, no problem. I also, felt really nice after sharing all these information, and I hope it helps all those students who are looking at this video and who actually want to study abroad.
Thank you.
Thank you.